So, innocence becomes important then, because statutory damages can get reduced way down to $200 per infringement,
Right.
provided you can prove that you innocently infringed. So our clients with Masterfile, we are constantly going back and forth with Masterfile as to how the image got on there, and they are contesting whether that's truly innocent or not. Okay? I am sure that Getty will take the same tactic on images if they had statutory damages available to them. So I think the only reason why Getty doesn't spend time on it and quote unquote rolls over and is very good about it is because it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't change the nature of their claim one bit. They're entitled to actual damages only, and innocence is not in the defense to actual.
That's right. And I guess, what can I tell you? I am not an attorney, and
Right.
I mean, I definitely freely admit that, but I live on the streets, and I tend to believe sometimes common sense prevails.
Sure.
I mean, I guess, I don't, do they really want to drag people like me in the court,
No.
Over this? Yes, maybe they're technically right in all this, but, I'm not going to sit there and roll over. I'm going
Right.
to plead my case, and, it's going to be the hardest fight they'll ever have.
No, and certainly,
it's crazy.
I know, and certainly, the human beings on both sides.
That's what I'm
here.
getting at.
So they say, look, okay, the guy ended up in a bad situation. He didn't know this was copyrighted. He didn't mean to have it on his website. We are going to think a little bit better of him than a guy who says, go scratch, I'm not telling you where it came
Exactly.
from. So I agree with that.
I was very respectful.
Right, and you're not giving up anything because they already have a screenshot of the image on there. So they know the image is on your website. So game over.
Right.
So you're right. I think it's good. It softens it up a little bit. You could explain your way. All I'm saying to you, as long as you understand that it doesn't change Getty's legal position.
Right. And this is why I want, the viewers, you viewers, to understand. See, there's a little bit of a method to this madness here. Oscar's here to provide the legal responses, and I'm here just from the business side, the street side of things. And I've been a fighter for many, many years, and I stand by my convictions. And I've won many fights. I've lost a couple along the way, so I will admit to that. But I just tend to come from the school of thought that if you're respectful, you try to be honest, you try to do the right thing, and you communicate it right, I think it could go a long way to diffuse it. It may
Sure.
not right the wrong, but as you said, everybody's a human being, and do they really want to go to a certain place?
Right, and by the way,
and that's all I have to say on that.
if you establish that with them,
Yeah.
and you kind of show it was an innocent infringement, Getty will come down off that number. The number in the letter is not written in stone.
Oh, they will absolutely come down.
You can negotiate them down, and you can negotiate payment terms.
Yeah.
And clients of mine and many other folks obviously have decided to do that.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing that you could try to do, is say, look, I took it innocently, here's what I think I can afford, how long was it up? So, you need to be aware of the following things. How long was your image on the site? The longer it was on there, the more they're going to want. How did you use the site? Was it just on the home page, or was it repeated on multiple sites? They will count each time, even though it's the same photograph, as a new one. Excuse me. They will count each time, even though it's a new infringement, the same photograph as a new infringement. So how is the image used on your site? Thirdly, try to search for that image yourself. Is it available on other websites?
Right.
Could this photographer have licensed it to more than one person so that maybe you got it with permission?
That's a good point.
Check it out. Try to track it down. See where it came from. Look up the artist. Okay? See if you can find out who the artist is. And see where he posts his photographs. It might be available there as well. So educate yourself and find out those three things. How long was it on your site? How often was it posted on the site? What use was made of it? And where did it come from? Okay? You can try to synopsize all of that if you wish in a paragraph in this letter to Getty to make it explainable as to how it ended up on your site. And then you should start putting the ball in their court.
Yeah.
How do I know you have permission?
Mm-hmm.
Where are the registrations? Where's the agreement with the photographer? Understand something.
Mm-hmm.
Getty doesn't own photographs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They own the license to the photograph. They own the license to the photograph. A photographer has said, these are my images. I can't make the kind of money from them that you can.
Right.
Go, be free. They're still mine. But you have the exclusive right to use them. I can't even use them. You have the right. So ask to see the contract. Ask to see what the agreement allows. Push a little bit, and you get responses back and forth. Because also, should it come to court, and for 5 images or less, it's just not likely to come to court.
Mm-hmm.
If you can go to the judge and on your own
Mm-hmm.
and say, you know, I just asked them for their basic proof. Why would I settle when the other side won't even show me the proof of their claim?
That's a good point.
It's like me calling you up. Well, you and I get into a car accident, okay, and I'm at fault.
Okay.
Okay. I'm 100% at fault. I hit you in the rear. Okay, Matt, what's the damage? $8,000. $8,000? It's a taillight. Why is it $8,000? What are you going to do? You're going to fax me an estimate. I'm going to ask you for proof
Yes,
as to the amount of the claim.
that's good.
What am I going to... And if I go to court and I don't settle, and the judge says to me, you hit him in the rear, Mr. Michelen. Why on earth are you fighting this case? And I say to the judge, I asked to see his proof, and he wouldn't give it to me.
He just expected me to pay $8,000 based on what he said.
Right, without showing me an estimate, a repair bill, and the judge is going to say, stop talking, what's the matter with you?
It's
How do
not
you
an
expect-
unreasonable
How
request.
do you expect to rationally resolve this? Why are you wasting
Right.
the court's time when if you had honored these reasonable requests, perhaps we could have resolved this matter?
That's right.
It doesn't make sense to have someone expect you to pay on a claim and at the same time keep their hand in their pocket and say, guess what? I got the proof, but I'm not going to show you. And I think that's another thing that Getty has to do. And what's troubling is competitors of theirs who are engaged in the same programs do respond to those requests, where they come from a lawyer or they come from a layperson and say, okay, you want to see our agreement? Here's our agreement. Now what? Right?
Right.
So why won't Getty do it? Okay, sheer volume. Sheer volume. It will cut down their cost margin.
Well, they more than likely they don't have registrations on everything. I mean, it's
No,
been
they're not
kind of
reg-
implied.
They know that I'm not even talking about registrations.
Right.
Because they've admitted they don't have
Okay.
registrations. Okay? I'm talking about the right to enforce the copyright to this image which they do not own.
I gotcha. Okay.
How do I know you have the right to do so?
And they don't want to produce that.
No.
Hmm. Well, whatever advice our audience members take, just realize that there are no 100% guarantees. Everything has to come down to your risk tolerance, your personality, your means, and so forth. I tend to subscribe to the fact that you should fight for your position. I tend to think that you should grow a spine. I've said this many, many times. It doesn't mean to fight foolish fights. It just means that be courageous enough to voice your feelings and state your position and assert your rights.
And certainly, and before you cut a check,
Yeah.
you should at the very least educate yourself as to the legal positions on both sides and know where you stand and what your risks are. And as you said, write in a respectful,
Right.
non-aggressive tone to ask for either further information or to state your position so that you can, Getty feels comfortable that you're not some kind of serial infringer
Right.
and that they're never going to have trouble with you again. And you might be very pleased with the way they approach you in response to that, as opposed to just antagonizing them for the sake of antagonizing them. So,
Right.
come from a position of strength
Yeah.
and come from a position of knowledge.
Excellent. Excellent. Oscar, thank you for your time
I
on
hope
this
it helps.
video. Thank you.
Anytime. Anytime.